Well, it's freeze cracked and I'm back, and I had made this biface the other day when I was doing one of the videos. I don't even remember which one I was doing, but I think I'm going to come on now and just try and reduce it down as quickly as I can, and then I'll maybe try to do a little pressure work on it or something, and I don't know, maybe some parallel Cody crap or something. I don't know. I got to feeling kind of bad about the random and haphazard way that I'm doing stuff, and that I didn't demonstrate anything about isolating any platforms and just doing all this like I'm doing right now, all this random hitting and relying on nothing but my hand-eye coordination and my knowledge of angles and stuff, because that of course is not the way that anybody needs to nap. You don't have to nap like that. You can do it all correctly and have a more predictable, better result. There's one guy that I've napped with some that it just kind of super gee whiz with doing it in a meticulous fashion, and so controlled as to be able to get stuff super thin, and that's Curtis Smith. And I think he does have just a couple of videos up under his own name on YouTube, and he's got, you know, a real gift with hand-eye coordination. He can do some great just freehand stuff too, but much better than me. But he also has a lot of patience, and he sets things up in a meticulous manner with isolations once he gets down past all the initial reduction. And he sets it up with isolations, and he uses a direct percussion technique that I think is similar, although I've never watched Woody Blackwell nap. I think is analogous in a way to his technique, where he uses these isolations and sets them up carefully, and then basically stabs at them with what did I do with it? I brought it out to show you again. Some of these guys, I'll take their solid copper and they just slightly put a little bit of a doming effect on it, barely, and then they make their isolated platform and then put their finger on it, and then they stab hard at it and have the full weight of the billet behind the hit, and they're catching it instead of hitting it in the middle or the bottom part of what would be a rounded area, like hitting it here, they catch it with the back side of it and just barely catch it. Like Curtis, he'll miss a couple of times and then catch it because he's just barely trying to catch it and make big old flakes. And I kind of feel like you can do something that's sort of similar with indirect you can make some really big flakes with indirect, but Curtis doesn't use indirect. But I really shouldn't talk about other people, but I'm saying all good stuff, so it doesn't matter, right? But anyway, it's a very effective technique when used by some of these guys that have done a lot, and they get just unbelievably amazing results with it. So I once again built you a clock to tell you the time, but what I'm telling you is there are different ways to do things, and some of the ways that I do not do things work incredibly well, and I don't want anybody to watch my techniques and think that that's the way they ought to start napping necessarily, because at the end of the day, you need to go with something that works for you. I mean, if I can hit on a really weird, irregular, continuous type nonsense here and drive, you know, a flake over there, then fine, go me. But that doesn't mean that that's the best way to do it, or that anybody else should do it. It cost me, you know, several years of whacking like this to be able to read these kind of very irregular edges and bifaces and stuff, and just be able to do this stuff like this on them and make it work. But one of the things to note is that one of the things that Marty said on one of his videos is, you know, don't abrade something you're not ready to hit, because you're just losing width and tearing up the edge, and you may over abrade it for what you later actually want to do to it. Just grind what you're going to hit. Well, you can see I don't follow that very wise advice very well, because I just grind the crap out of everything, and that's predicated upon me using techniques that allow me to get away with that. Like, for instance, the indirect percussion. The indirect percussion very much allows me to get away with that, because you can blow through anything. You know, if you grind it way too much and it's too thick and too tough, well, your indirect will blow through it anyway. But it darn sure wouldn't work when I said that, and it didn't work. Dang! Okay, this is funny. Look at that. Actually, this isn't grabby because I haven't used it today yet. It's almost like they oxidize over a couple days and get slippery. And then when you use them, they get slippery over time too. I've got copper on that, so I need to braid that off. All right, now, this time it is going to work. I was cutting the bottom off a little hinge there and shot it over there. That was shot over to there, just trying to straighten the edge a little bit. Opportunistically, you know, you get your stuff gets a little bent, or starts out a little bent, and you sort of need to take some off the top and some off the bottom and stuff as you're trying to straighten it all out. Especially if you're saying at the get-go, putting pressure on yourself, saying, oh gee, I'm going to do some Cody flaking. Yeah, sure you are. I don't really even know what Cody flaking is, but I've heard people that collect points and stuff talk about it. So that was a big overshot and took off all this edge right here. See it there, took out that whole thing. That's a true overshot, and sometimes those things are problematic because, of course, if I had been close to having a finished point here, then I just would have messed it up dramatically with that shot, and would need to then go from making that plain view or Scott's Bluff or something to making that Angostura or something. I'm stepping the stuff out in the middle. I don't have convexity. I blew those out, but it's still lower right in here. I got to even it up at some point. But as usual, I'm trying not to waste your time. I'm sort of trying to do this kind of quickly and talk at the same time, which for me doesn't work well at all. But it ain't over till it's over. That was bad. That was, you didn't see that. You didn't see that either. You did see that. That, you know, lowered that side and kind of, I'm telling you, man, sometimes you can just do you can do a lot of good with one hit. You just got to be the right hit. And that wasn't it. That one I didn't have ground well enough, and the platform fell a little bit and just died right in there. And that was purely because of the platform. It had nothing to do with the hit itself. You don't get your platform right, it's gonna fail. That cut out underneath some of those hinges, but it looks like there's another one there. No biggie. This edge right here is a little chewed up. That was a nice flattening flake. It just sort of flattened out that whole area there. And again, I think I said yesterday or something, once you start getting your opportunistic hits done on your sinuous edge, at some point what starts happening is that edge starts getting tapered, and it also starts all coming up toward the center line. And at that point, either you're almost finished, in which case, yay, go you, you do a little pressure work and you're done, or you have to knock it back into weirdness so you can do more thinning. Because you can't do nothing with a bunch of tapered edges up by the center line. Not a good thing. I think I used bad grammar on purpose. It's not a good thing. Might be a Texas thing, but it ain't a good thing. I'm starting to get shadow over here. I got in the sun so you could see, and now I'm getting shadow. It's almost as if the sun is moving. Oh man, I just did another round of that nasty, loud abrading. What time is it? I'm at 12 minutes or something? I can't even see it. Oh well. Can you see that? It's funky looking. I'm gonna hit it. That one I held the support pretty tight and hit it pretty hard, wanting to lower it. Get some of the thickness going. I'm trying to regularize stuff. I would like all my thickness kind of gone so that I can, but I need to lose width too, because when I get it kind of like I want it for pressure, I don't know if you can see, but that side is cleaned up a lot. It's still not straight though. I've got a balance issue here that I got to deal with, but I'll deal with it. Just lowered that a little bit. I've got a real thickness area here. It's thicker over here, but it's thick over there. And so I really want to dress this. And I'll come back. Bye.